Welcome back to the Devil May Cry playthrough. In today's part, we're going to be getting a mystical MacGuffin, so that way we can open up some kind of magical force field door. So, pretty much, part 7 of Final Fantasy 12 all over again. Now, since all the doors are locked, we pretty much have to just go over and examine this thing, the Pride of Lions. Fortunately, we don't have to charge this thing, so that way we can get our secret passageway opened, and oh my god, it shoots laser beams! Well, best MacGuffin ever. But, yeah, we always have to go through some kind of trial to get our item thing. And here we pretty much just have to go through this bridge, look at read some kind of stone thing and then go back. It's not that hard. Pretty basic mission if you ask me. Although, we are going to come back. One thing you might want to remember is to pick up some of these red orbs. You never know. But yeah, since there's nothing else to do, you pretty much just read that. You can read the Hermes thing if you want, the staff. But it does nothing. All you have to do is just walk back casually. Not like there's anything that's going to come up against you. Oh, it's pretty obvious, isn't it? Well, that was just improbable. And here we see another running theme in the Devil May Cry series. Going through stages that constantly drain on your health. And here we come across a new set of enemies that don't really appear that often. Essentially, these things are invulnerable if they're too far away. You gotta get close to them and dodge their attacks, and then just open up a shotgun to their face. I believe there might also be a hidden blue orb fragment, but don't quote me on that. And once we go through this door, our Pride of Lions will be there, ready for us to pick up. Again, no real obstacles standing in our way, it's just there. That and, oh, something like a giant spider made of fire. Now, this is something I find weird with this game. Yeah, after a little while it will show itself. Now, I have subtitles on. Now, you would expect every spoken word of dialogue would be subtitled. But only the monsters in this game, the bosses even, are subtitled. Human characters are not. Now that does not make much sense. But yeah, this is a Phantom, a giant spider made of fire. That also does not make sense. You would think with a name like, you would think something like a giant spider on fire would be named something stereotypical, but oh well. Phantom plays like your pretty basic boss. He shoots out balls of fire, he claws at you, which will almost never hit you, and he fires off pillars of fire. Now the main dickery to this boss is that his only weak spot is on his back. So essentially what you gotta do is you gotta jump on his back and swing at his inner core when his tail is up. If his tail is down, you won't be able to hit him at all. Shotgun damage will do a good amount. Oh, and you can also jump. But shotgun damage does okay damage. Namely, you want to use your sword and swing it at him. He goes down pretty easily on, well, easy mode. On normal mode, he's a lot harder. And it doesn't help that the camera makes things a lot harder. And it's here that I start to use Devil Trigger mode, a very good mode to use when facing off against bosses. Essentially what Devil Trigger mode is that your attacks do more damage, you regenerate health, you move faster, and there are some attacks that you can do in Devil Trigger mode with specific weapons. It's really more for taking on bosses. You'll regenerate your Devil Trigger gauge as you deal damage to enemies, but you namely want to use it for bosses since you do more damage and you move faster. However, I will use Devil Trigger mode more often in the next boss fight. Also, bosses drop a lot of red orbs. And once we go through that door, that's the third mission done. If you couldn't already tell, we're going to be doing a few more missions in today's part. I think this might be one of the few times I get anything higher than a C. I'm not that good at this game, as you can already tell. But like I said, your letter rank grades will give you more orbs after you finish missions. And the highest rank you can get is an S. I don't know how many orbs that gives you, but... and you just gotta work for yourself to get it. Okay. Yeah, what you want to do when Phantom comes through is you want to go through that door as quickly as possible. You can go forward and try to open another door, but actually that's probably one of the easier ways to do it, but if you go down further, it will come to a point where he'll just stop moving to you and just shoot fireballs. That's where you can fight him. It's really hard to fight him, but you can do it. But if you do, he'll just come back in another part of the game. And using the Pride of Lines, we take down the force field and we meet a new, kind of new enemy. The Sin Sights, I think they're called. They're virtually the same thing as Sin Scissors, except they have more range. And they do a little bit more damage. The only difference is that they have a move where they'll throw their scythe at you, which does a lot of damage. Just take them on, you can go through that door. But yeah, taking on Phantom a second time will net you more orbs. So if you have the skill, you should at least try. And it's here where I use the Stinger more often. Like I said last time, the Stinger is really good to close gaps. You can upgrade that move after you buy the level 1 version, but it costs more orbs. Also, it's a lot easier to go down here and just attack this thing, since it'll cause a spiral to rise up from the ground, causing you to shoot all the way up to the top of the tower. And up here, you can easily get the Death Sentence, a sword that you can't actually equip. Again, does not make much sense, but oh well. Yeah, it's another item you need to use to solve another puzzle, but man, the puzzles aren't really all that hard to solve. If you have a walkthrough with you, you can easily solve the puzzles. This game is more about combat than it is puzzle solving, compared to Resident Evil, which is just pick up a piece of an emblem, take it to another room, find more pieces of an emblem, and then use it to open one big door leading up to a boss. And here we get the Melancholy Soul, which we'll be using later on. And this wouldn't be your stereotypical hack and slash game without a doppelganger. Yeah, you can pretty much just expect that when you see a huge mirror in any room. Although we're not going to be fighting the doppelganger, we're going to be fighting this guy. This is our second boss in the game. Shocking, I know. Nello Angelo. Spelled N-E-L-O-A-N-G-O-L. I don't know why, but it just does. Now, a quick comment. These guys, well, not these guys, but Nello Angelo sorta, kinda, but not really, makes a reappearance in Devil May Cry 3, where it's a hollow armored enemy. When we jump down here, we'll start our big boss fight. Whenever Nello Angelo is done posing for the trailer. Alright, let's do this. Now, he doesn't have any real projectiles to use other than a fireball attack, like every other boss has. However, he doesn't do that very often, so essentially, you having a shotgun is probably the biggest advantage you can have. Now, he'll block a lot of your frontal attacks, but if you attack him from behind, that's where you can do the most damage. If you bought the Stinger ability, you'll have a pretty good advantage. Now, Devil Trigger really comes in handy in this boss fight, since he'll teleport away from you whenever you try to combo him way too many times. But for some odd reason, in Devil Trigger mode, he doesn't teleport. Now, like I said, if I didn't mention it before, I'll mention it now. You activate Devil Trigger mode by pushing the L1 button. You can refill your Devil Trigger gauge by attacking enemies or taking damage, but you can also refill it a lot faster if you have purple stars, and you can increase your maximum Devil Trigger gauge by buying purple orbs at the store. There aren't any purple orb fragments that you can buy, so this is the best you can do. This boss is pretty straightforward. Other than the fireball I mentioned, he'll do a slashing swing attack. He'll do a few other sword swings, but there's nothing really all that hard for you to dodge. The big annoyance is that he'll block a lot of your attack if you try to attack him from the front, so essentially you have to leap over him and attack again. If you are in Devil Trigger mode and you use the repeated thrust attack, that's where you can do most of your damage. But all in all, it's a pretty fun boss, pretty straightforward, no extreme strategy you have to take into consideration. Even though I just beat this boss to Kingdom Come, he just all of a sudden decides to kick my ass. Actually, here's another idea. If Dante can survive a lot of fatal wounds, can he survive a strangulation? And apparently Nilo Angelo is a vampire, except mystical rubies are his cross. Well, we certainly won't see him again. Who am I kidding? And with that done, we have our 4th mission done. And even though I finished that fight rather quickly, all I got was a C. If you didn't notice before, you can also get a extra set of red orbs when you defeat bosses. One thing to take into consideration when you want to purchase specific skills. Now remember when I mentioned there was a running theme in Devil May Cry for having specific elements where you have to get out of an area because it's draining your health? Well, this is kind of like that. It's a time trial. The melancholy soul is dying, and if you run out of time, it'll be useless, and I'm guessing that's automatic game over. But before you can move on to where it has to go, you have to defeat the sin sites. You can easily get to the door while you're fighting them. They won't... There will be a few elements where they'll be behind the door or something like that, and you can't really get to them, but eventually they'll just fly over to you and you're into your shotgun damage. And since that one decided to just drop dead, the seal is broken and we can finally get through this. There's no other areas in this level, so basically just charge forward. And if you were paying attention to the screen, you'll know that there's a blue door we have to go to use the melancholy soul. And where was there a blue door? Why, down here. And that's the end of our 5th mission. Pretty fast. And this might be one of the only missions I actually get an A rank on. See, a minute done. However, orbs also work. I want to thank you for watching, and next time we're going to do more stuff. See you later.